Good morning. Friday, finally. A little bit different today. I'm not quite driving yet. A little bit of something before I do. Very old DMG. Just want to read you a little bit out of it. What follows herein is strictly for the eyes of you, the campaign referee, Dungeon Master. As the creator and ultimate authority in your respective game, this work is written as one Dungeon Master equal to another. Pronouncements there may be, but they are not from on high as respects your game. Dictums are given for the sake of the game only, for if Advanced Dungeons & Dragons is to survive and grow, it must have some degree of uniformity, a familiarity of method, and a procedure from campaign to campaign within the whole. Advanced D&D is more than a framework around which individual DMs construct their respective milux, and it is above all a set of boundaries for a set of all worlds devised by referees everywhere. These boundaries are broad and spacious, and there are numerous areas where they are so vague and amorphous as to make them nearly non-existent. Right. I'm going to cut the video there for a second because I'm stopping for gas before I get on the road, and then we're going to come back and talk about that one. See you in a couple minutes. Alright, we are back. Car has fuel. I'm about to try to get out of this crazy roadworks they've got going outside the petrol station. And we're going to have a chat about that I read just before I pulled out of the drive. Now, what was it really saying? By the way, that was written by Gary Gygax as the preface for Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. So what was he saying there? What he was saying was that the rules aren't actually rules. I mean, yeah, they call them rule books, which means that everyone seems to think that they are, well, they're rules. And you have to follow rules, and that's how it is. But if you actually look at what he says there, what he's saying is, hey, I'm talking to you from one DM to another. I've been doing it a while, and if we all want this game to keep going, we need to have a common language. We need to all have things that are the same enough that we can all talk about it when we meet. He said it there. These are not pronouncements from on high. They are from one DM to another. And they are not immovable in respect to your game. Basically, what he's saying is, change the rules. House rule things. Make the game the way you want it to be. But understand that the reason these books exist is so that we all start from a common place. If everyone just made up their own set of rules for a game, they would probably be able to still play that game, yes. But someone new comes into the group. You now have to teach them everything from scratch. That's not how D&D is, though. With D&D, someone can come in, understand D&D, and then you say, well, actually, in this game, you've got your 6 normal stats. We're going to add a 7th one called Sanity, and you know how normal weapons have a maximum of, like, +3? Well, in this game, they're going to go up to +5 instead, and we're going to add 2 new skills that you've never heard of before, but this is what they do. And that player knows what stats are, and knows what magical bonuses are, and knows what skills are. And they can pick it up, and they can start playing your game. That's what makes Dungeons & Dragons what it is. The fact that the DM controls the world. It is not, and third edition is to blame for a lot of this. the so-called rules lawyers. The people who would say, well, the DM said this, but if you look on page 43 of this book in this edition of this or that, it says I can do that. You know what? As soon as you said the DM said, stop quoting books. Because it's the DM's prerogative to run the game. Yeah, fine. If there's a rule somewhere, after the game, say to the DM, hey, have you ever read this book? Because it actually covers the situation that happened in game. And the DM will either look at it and go, oh, I didn't know that, or, yeah, I changed it. And either is equally valid. That's just how it works. You know, you have to understand, whenever you sit down to play a game of D&D, whether it's at a physical house or online, you're entering the DM's world. You know, the DM is the one who controls how things work. If he says that all humans can fly, and they don't need wings to do it, they just fly, fine, they do. That's how it works. I actually might run a game like that sometime. It sounds strange enough to work. But yeah, it's something that I think that we've lost in the modern game. I mean, I'm driving, so I can't flip to it now, but there's another passage in the book where Gygax talked about basically just the fact that the players should never be allowed to read the DMG. I mean, he actually goes into specifics of, if you see your players cracking this book open to have a look at something, feel free to take all of their magic items, or knock off a couple levels. And if they do it again, feel free to just kill them. They're characters, not the players. You know, the idea used to be that the players shouldn't actually know there were rules. You know, also bear in mind with this that there was a time when you, the player, did not have a character sheet. When you, the player, said, I want a character that's strong and sturdy, and he doesn't have to be very smart. And the DM knew what those numbers meant on your sheet, but you didn't actually see your sheet. And then when you got into a fight, you would say, I'm attacking the orc with my sword. And the DM would roll a die and tell you if it hit or not. There was none of this where you have every bonus and you do this and that, and you know, you do all these calculations on your sheet, and then you just say to the DM, oh, I've got a plus 15. No. You had no idea what your bonuses were. The DM knew. And there was something to be said about that. It was a lot more work for the DM, don't get me wrong. But there was something to be said about the actual immersion of just doing things and not thinking about the numbers. Might have to try running that game again sometimes. Of course, with the newer systems, there's a lot more numbers to do, so we'll see. But that's my main thought for today. The books are not sacrosanct. The books are not sacred. They are advice. They are They are the idea that we've been doing this a long time, and this is what works for us. We're giving you the advice on what works for us for you to start with, so that you don't have to take as long to do it as we have. That's what the books are. Please just remember that in games. Remember that the rules are not set in stone. The rules are to help the DM. But the DM is the one running the game. That'll be all for today. Remember to like, subscribe, all that stuff. I'll see you tomorrow for the weekend campaign update. Then we'll have Sunday off and be back on Monday. Later.